Hello and welcome to the channel. Today I'm going to go through how I've painted a Warrior of Minas Tirith for Middle-earth strategy battle game. First half I'll take you through just how to quickly paint them, get them table ready, and then the second half we'll be adding some wash and some extra highlights just to make them pop. This is Sloth Miniatures. Let's get on with the video. On screen now you'll be able to see all the colours that I used in the video. I started with the Leadbelcher spray base coat. This works as a really nice undercoat colour, as the majority of the model is going to be armour. Then we're going to move on to matte black. We're going to go around just painting all of the cloth, all of the under armour, his boots, anything else that might be cloth. Just take your time with this one, try not to get any on the armour, but if you do you can always just go back over it with a similar shade of silver. Once we've done all the cloth, I'm just going to go around, paint the shield black. Don't worry about being too neat on this one around the tree, as we're going to paint that white later on. For such a large area like this, just remember to water down your paints. Just do a couple of thin coats to make sure you get a nice even coverage. I also did this guy's hair black as well. Once the black is dry, I'm just going to go around with a 50-50 mix of Abyssal blue and matte black, just to pick out all of the raised areas, leaving all the recesses black, just to give that shadow. Next, I moved on to deep grey. This is just going to be a quick highlight of the shield. I'm using the side of the brush here just to get a nice straight line. I'm just adding a little bit of a highlight on his scabbard. Next thing we're going to do, move on to oak brown. We're going to do all the leather work on this, all the strapping, his belt, anything that you might think is leather. Once that's dry, I'm going to move on to a 50-50 mix of oak brown and fur brown. This time I'm not going to paint as such, I'm just stippling on, just tapping the brown very gently. This gives a nice worn, weathered leather look, and it looks like cracked leather. Last thing for the leather is fur brown. Again, we're just going to stipple this on, just leaving gaps underneath. This really does make the leather look worn, like it's old, seen a few battles. Now we're going to very carefully do a skin with Topaz skin. There's not a lot of skin on these guys, so just take your time. If you get any on the helmet, you can just go back over that with silver. Now we're going to highlight that with Barbarian flesh. Just going to pick out the cheeks, the chin, any sort of raised areas that you can see. Just take your time whilst doing this one. Now we're going to move on to matte white and pick out the tree detail on his shield. Just be very careful with this one, because it's very thin and fiddly. I make a couple of mistakes, but that's fine. I'll just go back over that with the matte black at a later date. Try and use the edge of your brush on this, it really does help when picking out that raised detail. I'd recommend they use a slightly thinner paint to do this, just to give you a little bit of control. You don't want it too thin that it just puddles everywhere, so if you do thin it down, just dab your brush on a kitchen roll or something just to get rid of any excess water. As you can see there, I've made a little mistake, but that's fine. I'll just go back over and tidy it up. There you have it, very quick and easy way to get your Warrior of Minas Tirith painted. Now we're going to add a little bit more detail to really push that model up to another level. To do this, we're going to coat the whole model with strong tone. This will seep into all of the recesses and really make those colours pop. Once that's dry, I'm going to go over with plate mail metal for all of the armour. And as you can see, I'm leaving all of the recesses and things that would be in shadow and just picking out any sort of raised areas. This will really help give the model depth. Now we're going to just go and pick out some of that leather detail with fur brown. I'm going to use the same technique that we did before, just stippling it on, trying to leave some of that darker area underneath. Now we're just going to re-highlight the cloth, all his clothes with the 50/50 Abyssal Blue matte black mix, just picking out all the raised areas. We're moving on to Barbarian flesh. Just be very careful with this one. Very fiddly, you only need a little bit of Barbarian flesh for this section, as you can hardly see the skin. I'm going to just move on to Matt White. I've just done his teeth there very gently. But mainly we're just going to be really making that white tree pop in honour of Gondor in the White Tower. So carefully use the edge of your brush. Just take your time, slowly work your way around, picking out all the raised details. Just using the very tip of my brush for these branches because they're very thin. If you do make a mistake, you can go back and use the matte black to just tidy it up. And there you have it, one fully painted Warrior of Minas Tirith, ready to defend the White Tower. I'd just like to say a massive thank you to everybody on Patreon who supports me. Your support is extremely helpful. I wouldn't be able to do this without you. And I hope you have enjoyed the video. Until next time, bye bye.